expense tracker over from the free codecamp.org module on Python for scientific computing. Let's see, if you're new to the stream, what happens in the stream is we work through this project. We do it in intervals of 45-minute sprints, followed by a 15-minute break. Nothing else. I read the instructions all aloud, and I would recommend you do as well when you're working on these things, so it helps you practice enunciating the words. It helps familiarize yourself with the terms, and overall just gets you comfortable talking and saying these terminologies out loud in preparation of like working with a teammate in the future or with another colleague. Um, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns during the stream, you can please leave your messages in the chat. If you're watching it at a later time in a replay, leave a comment in the comment section below and I'll get back to you. You can also email me at kashfi.fahim@gmail.com. You could also follow me on GitHub, github.com/kashfifahim. I'm available. So if you ever want to have a conversation about anything programming related, Python, JavaScript, what have you, I'm here to lend you an ear. Alright, so let's get some fireworks and start the clock and let's get started. Start project. So in this project we're going to be building a simple yet functional expense tracker in Python, okay? Start by defining a function named addExpense that takes three parameters: expenses, amount, and category. Use the pass keyword to fill in the body. Awesome. A list in Python is a built-in data type that allows you to store many items in a single data structure. Excellent, yes. Could be of any type. In Python, we create a list by putting items inside square brackets, with each item separated from the following one by comma. So here we're going to create an empty list named expenses. Expenses equals an empty list. The expenses parameter of your add expense function will be a list of expenses. Okay. You want to be able to add items at the end of your list. For that, you can use the .append list method. And here's an example. My list has 2, 4, and 7 as members of the list, and then you would add 3 to the list, so you do mylist.append 3, and it would give you 2, 4, 7, and 3 as the end. So here we're going to replace pass with a call to .append method on the expense list. So expenses will be a list, and we're doing append, and now the question is, what are we appending? Don't pass any arguments to append for now, alright, so just like that, empty. And here's a little commercial break. If you're thinking of making a nice donation to support software education around the world, consider freecodecamp.org. Helps lots of people learn, helps us work through Python, JavaScript, HTML, some machine learning. We've got it all. Alright, next up. A dictionary is another built-in data type. Okay, cool. So we first have the list data type, data structure. And now, why are they calling it data type, built-in data type? Okay, dictionary is a bit, okay. Dictionary is a collection of data in the form of key-value pairs. Dictionaries are defined with curly braces and they contain key-value pairs separated by comma. Each key is followed by colon and the value. Nice. So we got key, value, key, value. In the example above, amount and category keys, and 50 and food are their corresponding values. So next we're going to be creating a dictionary with the key amount and the value amount. Create a dictionary with the key amount and the value of the amount parameter, and pass your new dictionary to the append call. Okay. First step of creating a dictionary, the curly braces. Next the key is amount. Next is the value, amount. Alright, here's a little thing. Let me first pass the test. Nice. How are these two things different? They're the same word, but here I'm creating a key of, this is a string that says amount, and this is the parameter that's being passed. That's right here. This is the data that's being passed into the function, and we're saying save that value to the key amount. I hope that makes sense. If not, you just need more practice and exposure to dictionaries. So for now, yeah, if you're brand new to that concept of dictionaries and lists, don't worry about it. For now, follow along, and the more you practice these projects, it'll sink in. The more you read about these things, it'll sink in. I think Free Code Camp's going to do that over the next couple of projects, because this is the first time here. So in the first one was the basic stuff, and now they're, slowly introducing some of the data structures. And we've got a lot more to go. So don't worry, there's going to be more exposure to those concepts. They're very essential concepts, so don't worry, it's going to come up over and over again. Add another key value pair to the dictionary. You are appending to the expense list. Okay, so we're saying add another one. To add another one, separate comma. I could do this on a new line, but let's just, usually it would be like this. And the next one, category is the key, and again the value is going to be the parameter that's being passed. Oops. I guess they don't like the spacing. Is that it? Or they don't like the comma at the end. Start by defining a function named print expenses. That takes one parameter, expenses, and pass. I almost did the curly braces, but in Python again, you define your function's body after the semicolon, after the colon. Inside the print expenses function, create a for loop that iterates over each item in expense. For expense in expenses, so expenses is it's the list that we're passing in, and expense is each item in that iterable. In other words, for each expense in the expenses list, do something with that expense, to that expense. This is common practice in Python and some other programming languages to make it more readable. You make the list plural, and then you make each item in the list that you're modifying or accessing singular. Next, you're going to display the details of each expense, alright? Inside the for loop, replace with print call and pass in the following. F string, we're using F string for interpolating the variables. Category, expense. Let's close that out. Step 9, you can access values in a dictionary through its keys. You need to use the square bracket notation and include the key between the square brackets. So in the first line, they're creating a dictionary with two keys. One key is is amount, and it points to the value 50, and category is another key that points to the value food. So now if you want to access what's at the key amount, we do the square bracket, the bracket terminology, pass in the amount string as the key, and it would return 50. Alright. You are currently interpolating the expense dictionary in your f string. Modify the f string expression to access the value of the amount key and the category key in the expense dictionary. Okay. In the expense dictionary, alright. Access the value of the amount key. Oh, I see. Expense amount. Expense category. It's expenses, my bad. Did I misunderstand something? Yep. You can access, right, you use bracket notion. You're currently interpolating the expense dictionary. Alright, because each member of the expenses list is a dictionary. Because earlier, we're adding a dictionary object to the list. So each expense here is a dictionary inside the list expenses. Alright, so you're currently interpolating the expense dictionary in your f string. Modify the f string expression to access the value of amount. Oh, I see. I need the square brackets for interpolation, and that didn't work with the amount. Why didn't that? Expense. No, that's not gonna work. Boy. Not a good. Alright, let's chill. Modify the f string expression to access the value of amount key and the category key in the expense dictionary. Might have been the single. Yep, probably. Let's see. Yep. So earlier I was using a single quotation over here, just out of habit. But when you have a single quotation outside and you want to use some sort of a quote, you gotta use a double quote. Or if you were using double quote out here, you gotta use a single quote here. You will need a function to calculate the total amount of expenses. Define a function named total expenses that takes one parameter of expenses, fill in the body was passed. Take note how FreeCodeCamp is teaching you how to write a function. It's saying first the name, then the parameters, then the arguments, right? Yep. Then the parameters and then the pass to help you set up the structure of your function. And then in the next step, you tackle what's inside. Lambda functions are brief, anonymous functions in Python. Ideal for simple one-time tasks. They are defined by the lambda keyword, and they use the following syntax. Use the lambda keyword x, then the colon expression. Create a test variable and assign it a lambda function, lambda, that takes x parameter and returns x times 2. To call a lambda function, you can use the usual function syntax, pair parentheses, after the variable name. Okay, so it's going to be test3. No? Oh, print test3. Lambda functions can be valuably combined with a map function, which executes a specified function for each element in a collection of objects, such as a list. Map lambda x times 2. So this is a function that's going to have parameter x, and inside the function we're multiplying x by 2. Okay, so this is the first argument. Okay. I really, no matter how many times I look up the difference between argument versus parameter. Parameter is a variable in a function definition, okay. An argument is a value passed, okay, good. So here we're seeing that this lambda function is an argument, the first argument of the map function, and the second argument of this map function is a list. So don't get confused, this comma is actually your friend. The comma helped you recognize that these two things are separate. This expression is the first argument, and this expression is the second argument. The result of the example above will be 2, 4, 6, where each item in the list passed to map has been doubled by the action of the lambda function. Modify your print call to print the result of calling map with the test of map. Oh. One second, to modify your print call to print the result of calling map with test, I see, map with test. And the second argument is 2, 3, 5, 8. The sum function returns the sum of the items in the iterable. Sum function returns the sum of the items in the iterable, which is passed as its argument. You're going to use sum together with map and lambda functions to get this total of expenses. Alright, what is the sum function? Returns the sum of the items in the iterable, which is passed as its argument. Alright, so sum takes an iterable. You're going to use sum together with map and lambda function. For now, make a little test and modify your current print call by passing sum map test. Two, 3, 5, and 8. So what's happening here? Map is going to multiply each item of the list by 2. So that gets 2 times 4, 6, 10, 16. And then sum, so map passes that new list as an argument to sum, which adds up all of the elements of that list. And we get 36. Next, you're going to implement the same logic to the total expenses function. For now, delete both the test function and the print call. Okay. Within your total expense function, replace pass with a lambda function. Alright, lambda expense as parameter to the value of the amount. Return the value of the amount. Expense amount. Do I need to put a return statement here? Expense. Oh, let's misspelled lambda. Use expense. Key expense amount. Alright, let's reset this. Replace pass with the lambda function. Lambda expense colon expense amount. Should have been taking notes. Let's just go back 2 steps. Copy this. Where are we at? Just gonna paste that. Let's see, for lambda keyword expense, I guess don't need the parentheses expense, yep. Oh, yep, that's what they wanted. So what did I just need to get rid of the parentheses. Guess that's nitpicking. For now, call map. Passing your lambda function as a first argument. Map. Since this isn't being stored in any name, before we had test equals, so I guess we have to choose straight up. That'll be the first argument, and expenses will be the second. Finally, pass your map called to sum. Sum map lambda. Let's return. Next, define a function named filter expenses by category. It takes 2 parameters. Expenses. Within the filter function, replace pass the lambda function. Lambda. And return the comparison with the valid key. Return the comparison between the value of category. It's expense, not expenses. Expense category. So equal. Key of the expense dictionary and category. Category. The filter function allows you to select items from an iterable, such as a list, based on the output of a function. Filter returns an iterator in which the elements of my list are included, for which my function returns true. Elements are included, for which, okay. An iterator is a special object that allows you to iterate over the elements of a collection like a list. Within your filter expenses by category function, call filter. Alright, so you see what they did? They first defined. Again, they're not saving it to any variables, so we're going to have to just pass it in. Previous step is first argument, and the second argument is expenses. Finally, return the results. Let's just return. More minutes. How far are we doing? Nice. The next step is to define the main function, which will be the entry point of the interactive expense tracker program. Define a function named main without parameters. Def main. Let's reset this, I messed up. Define a function named main without parameters. Expenses list you created earlier. Let's take a moment to appreciate FreeCodeCamp that's making it possible for us to learn Python, JavaScript, HTML, CSS for free. If you're thinking about donating to a cause, here's one. A while loop is another kind of loop that runs a portion of code until a specified condition is true. While condition, enter code. Below expenses, create a while loop. Use true for the condition and print the string /n expense tracker. This is an infinite loop, true. That will allow the program to continuously present menu options until the user decides to exit. After the print, call add another one to print the string. One add expense. Alright, so I guess we're creating a command line program. Next, add another print to list all expenses. Provide the other menu option by printing the following. 3. Show total expenses. The input function takes a user input and returns the user input in the form of a string. Inside your while loop, call the input function, passing the string, enter your choice, and assign the result to a variable called choice. Choice equals input, enter your choice for this colon. You're going to use the conditional statements to check the user's choice. If choice still in the while loop under the choice variable, and if statement to check if choice equals the string 1. I don't think they like. If it is true, it will be the starting point for adding a new expense. Inside this statement, we're going to declare a variable amount and assign an empty input call. Alright, so the choice is 1, you add an expense, you'll give the user an input dialog, and the input gets stored in amount. Inside the if statement, you should ask the user, pass the string, enter the amount, input, enter amount, no the. Step 31, the amount of the expense needs to be converted before performing any calculations. A float function takes an int string or an integer argument as an input, right? Pass, so we're just passing. So input function gets the input from the user. That input is actually a string, and we can't do math on strings. So we're calling the float function and passing that string inside to convert that string into a number. Here it's a float, so it could be decimal number, and we're storing it in the variable amount. Step 32, inside your if statement, create a variable category. Inside your if statement, create a variable called category to store the expense category. Assign it input, enter category. After getting the expense details, you need to call the add expense function to add the new expenses. To call expense function, right? Call the add expense function. Passing 3 arguments: expenses, amount, category. To list all expenses using elif, choice, to print all expenses. Breezing through, what are we at to? 35. Where are we at? Oh, here, 77%. Let's try to get it done before the timer goes off. Print, after the print call, call the print expenses function. Expenses function. Pass the expenses list. And now create an elif, choice is equal to 3. Call print, pass in the string total expenses as the first argument, and total expenses, the second argument. Create another elif, choice 4. Input, enter category to filter. this is a pretty this is a pretty useful app that they were making, and they're just using the most simplest, composing the whole app in a very simple manner, which I totally respect. After getting the category, print the following f string. Let's see, we've got /n expenses for category and close it. I should print expenses for category missing semicolon. After you print your print call, you need to filter expenses and print the filtered list. Declare a variable expenses from category and assign a call to filter expenses by category. Nice. Step 40, with 10 more minutes to go. Pass expenses, print expenses, pass, okay, expenses from category. To provide a way to exit the car, use an elif choice equals to 5. Inside the new print exiting the program. Add break inside your last elif statement. Finally, call your main function and try the expense tracker program. Entertainment. Did I mess something up? Crashed. Alright, last one, become a supporter. It's very quick. Quick is good. That means in the future, if you want to brush up on lambda functions, you can, or tomorrow if you want to redo it again, you can learn it very quickly. You can use the dunder name, dunder variable to determine variable to determine if Python script is being run as a main program or if it is being imported as a module. Value of main name is set to main. It implies the current script is the main program. As a final step, creating if statement to check if name is equal to dunder main. With that, the expense tracker project is complete. Boop 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 boop. Finished it with 8 minutes left in the timer. How do I feel about this? I appreciate that it's a quick, small one, and it's pretty pretty useful. It's a good project. It's a good project. And it was quick, so I would probably recommend someone new to Python programming to practice this same 44 steps a couple of times a week, or maybe 3 or 4 times a month. repetition is very important when you're learning, um, even after you're learning. I have a couple years, no, I have extensive. I don't know why I was always being humble, but I have a few years of experience using Python, and you saw some places I tripped up, and I need to keep practicing these things just so, the tripping up is a result of not practicing daily, and if you don't use it, you lose it. It really applies to programming and computer science stuff. That's why sometimes you see some folks grind leak code, get a job, and a couple months later it doesn't work out there. They have to start pick it up again, and you'll see like it's just very hard for them. That's one thing I've observed. Like it's really hard. That resistance is so strong. Anyway, enough of that. Anyway, thank you for joining on tonight's stream. We still have 5 more minutes. Doesn't look like there's any chat questions on the chat. Otherwise, and there's no. If you're watching this at a later time, if you have any questions or if you're stuck somewhere here, please leave a comment in the comment section, and I'm more than happy to help you out. I might even make a video about it to help you. Alright? So, on the next stream, I'm gonna do list comprehension by building a case converter program. It's another short one. And list comprehension is really a key skill to develop if you're thinking of being a Python programmer in the long run. You'll see it everywhere. Oh. And the more you practice this, the better you will be at reading it and creating your own. After that, it's regular expressions. We did some regular expression with JavaScript, so let's see how regular expression is done in the Python. And then a shortest path algorithm. So much to learn, so much to do. There's plenty of more videos coming, because my goal is to get through all of this. It's the 26th, so maybe before the end of the weekend I want to get through all of this. We'll try. Alright, if you like this video, please hit that like button, subscribe. The like button helps the algorithm promote my videos to other people who might be in need of these types of content. Would really appreciate your help with that, alright? So hit that like button. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it from me. Until the next video, I'll check you out next time. Good night.